Setting up an Azure SQL database is actually really simple. You don't have to go through much, doesn't take a lot of time. You get to focus on the architecture of your application as opposed to the architecture of the infrastructure supporting your application. That being said, there still are a few components that you need to understand when you create an Azure SQL database. The starting point, and you don't have to do anything for this bit, it's already there, is you do have a SQL database service, right? That's what's providing all this functionality that's built in to the Azure environment, right? What you, of course, want to do is you want to go and create your database instance. And that's going to be, your ABC database that supports your ABC application. I had a much cooler example, but I was told it might violate copyright laws, so we'll just go with ABC. And that's not any broadcasting company, just the letters. So anyways, so you've got your database, and that's great. But the database has to be hosted in a logical server. So you also need to create a server. Now, the logical server is not exactly the same as a SQL Server instance, although functionally it's very similar. The way you set it up, the way you work with it is a little bit different, and you don't have to go through the whole process of the installation and everything else. It's just a few configuration options to get that server running, right? And then that's going to be the host point. One of the key things that the server provides for you is it provides a communications endpoint. So if you have any services that need to communicate with it, if you're using Management Studio or Visual Studio to manage it, you're actually going to go through the endpoint that is generated by the server instance. And then you can host multiple databases on that server instance. But really the focus, as you'll see, is in the database instance. In fact, let's take a look at how we set this up, and you'll see that the focus is in fact on the database more so than on the server.